Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you how to set up and modify your GAN Pyraminx to make it super good. So these mods are actually made by Steven. I'll link his channel in the description if you want to check him out. He's a pretty fast Pyraminx solver and he discovered these mods. This setup tutorial works the same way for any 3 versions of this GAN Pyraminx. But of course if you have the extra GES nuts or the extra magnets in the puzzle, it might change a few things. But in general, this tutorial should work the same way. So there's 2 parts of the mod, which I'll show right now. The first mod is going to make the puzzle a bit more stable. As you can see, it is quite unstable at this state. So for this mod you need 4 of these washers. I'm not sure about the exact size of these washers, but you can always check with your Pyraminx. The way I got them, and I think most people will get them, is by removing washers from a MOU battery. So I think these washers are found in post 2016 batteries by MOU, and you can tell if they have like a bit of a ring around the screw like this. And the washer should be underneath that screw in the spring. And of course you just need 4 of them, 1 for each tip. The nice thing about it is even without the washers, the battery still functions completely fine, so you don't have to worry too much about that. The next mod actually makes the tip strengths weaker. For this mod, I think you'll be needing a pin, something like this, to get the magnets out. If you think the puzzle is stable enough, you don't have to do the first mod. And if you think the tip strengths aren't that strong, you don't need a second mod, but other than that, these mods are actually pretty helpful. Let's first take this puzzle apart by taking apart the tips. And a lot of people have trouble with this, but here's my trick on how to do it. Here is one of the adjustment tools from MOU. I'm not sure what it's called, but you might have this. If not, a sticker peeler or something like that that's able to get underneath the tip would be helpful. You could use your nail, but it probably will be a bit harder, so something like this would be a bit better. So all I have to do is get this underneath the tip, find a groove in the middle. From here, all I have to do is just push down, and the tip should come out with quite a bit of force actually. There you go. From the tip design, you should know where to push up from. It's actually here. There's a bit of a groove here. And you should push up on here to release the tip, which should take a bit of force, but it should be manageable. So go ahead and do that to all of your tips until they're all off. So there we go. I got all 4 of the tips off. So if you're having trouble with this, just make sure that you're putting enough force to get the tip out, but not really too much, obviously, to break it. But again, you will be needing a good amount of force because there's actually quite a lot of enforcements to keep the tip on. To disassemble these nut things, just push them down and twist them until they get to the 0 option. Like that. It's quite hard to read, but it is currently at the option that's not 0.6 or 0.8. From here, just push up on the center and then take the nut off. And then from here, you can remove this tip thing as well. Like that. So first off, I'm going to be doing the magnet mod. So this is going to be a second mod. For this mod, just remove 1 magnet from each of these tip parts. That way the magnet strength of the tips will be a bit weaker. To do this, you can tell there's a honeycomb pattern right there. And then right in the middle of it, I'm going to be using this pin to push the magnet out. So pretty much in the center of that circular magnet, just push the pin right there to get the magnet a bit loose. I'll be using a paper towel in case the magnet pops off or this pin actually hurts the table. So get the pin right in the center of the magnet. So once you have the pin center on the magnet, you can do a few things. You can bang down slightly on the top of the pin, or just push the pin down. And then do this until the magnet kind of gets loose. And then afterwards, on the magnet, around here, there's a bit of a hole where you're going to put the pin in. From there, you can just try to pry the magnet out after you got it pretty loose, which should be pretty easy actually. So you can go ahead and hold on to these magnets. You won't be needing them anymore. You can save them for maybe some other project. But as you can see, just get a bit of a hole there to get the magnet a bit loose, and then just slightly pry it out like that. So that's 1 magnet loose. Don't do this to all of the magnets, of course, for each tip, but just do it for 1 magnet per tip piece. Alright, so on to the next piece. And do the same thing. Just get a hole in the center of the magnet. So there you go. I heard a bit of sound, which means this magnet is probably a bit loose. Also, you can tell it's a bit loose if you look at it at this angle and the magnet's a bit outside. That shows that it's about to come out. Boom, that easy. So here we did it to 2 pieces, just do it to the rest of the pieces, and that should fix the magnet strength in the tips. So again, this is quite a sharp object, so you want to be careful. Try not to cut yourself with this, and make sure not to push too hard maybe. You can maybe flick it the wrong way and maybe hurt yourself, so just be careful when working with this object. Other than that, it should be pretty easy to get these magnets out. Alright, so just a quick test here. Just put this in. It's a slightly weaker click, which is what we want here. Okay, now that we're done with part 2 of the mod, let's do part 1 actually, since we skipped over this. So first I'll be showing you how to obtain the washer if you have a MOU battery. Again, it has to be post 2016 and it has to have this ring around the spring. I'm not sure if the newer adjustment systems have washers in them, but the goal is just to get washers of these size. So if you don't have the washers, go ahead to your hardware store, or you can buy it online probably. Just make sure the dimensions are correct when checking your GAN Pyraminx. If someone in the comments can leave the dimensions of the washer, that would also be greatly appreciated. So there's a spring and screw, and then the washer is right there. So the easiest way to get the washer out is just to bang it slightly on the table here. And there it is, it comes out. Sometimes it is harder to get this washer out because, as you can tell, it is quite dirty and it might stick to the bottom there. So one solution is that you can maybe run water through it to kind of wash out the dirty stuff, and maybe get a paper clip or something in there to kind of move around the washer. And once you do that, you can probably bang it out afterwards. I'll quickly wipe the washer because it is probably not the cleanest thing. And then finally, we just put the spring and screw back in. This should be pretty easy as well. And of course, you won't have the washer in there anymore, but this cube should be functioning still very well. I'm just going to bring it to the tension that I had before, which is pretty much the screw matching up with the outside piece. So do that to 4 sides of the cube to get these 4 washers. And again, the size you're looking for is having a big enough radius in the inside and not being too big on the outside, which you can put in the washer like that inside the hole. Alright, next step, you can put all of these tip things back because we modified all of those correctly already. Now for the second mod, just put the washers in each of these holes. That's all you need to do. It's actually quite simple, and this should tighten the tension a tiny bit by raising the bottom limit. So just get one in each one of these holes. That's simple. So that's the final part of the mod. Finally put these springs back, and the cube should be a bit tighter. And of course the tip should also be a bit weaker in terms of magnet strength. So I'll be completely honest, I actually don't like these nuts at all. There's no tool that comes with it to adjust it, so you have to do it by hand, which is cool and all, except that there's so many things around here that hurts your hand when you try to adjust it. Now again, if you have the Explorer or the enhanced version, you have many nuts to choose from. So choose whichever nuts or whatever tensions you think works the best for you. And just checking these tensions now, you can tell that this puzzle is already pretty stable compared to before. If you think it's too stable, you can switch around the nuts again. I think the purple and blue are going to give you a quote-unquote looser feeling. So if you want something like that after the washer mod, you can use those nuts. And then the yellow and green should be a bit of a tighter feeling. But yeah, this Pyraminx so far is turning pretty well. The cutting itself is still very, very good. It takes a bit more force, but again, you're not going to cut this much anyway. And it's worth it for its more stability. Alright, finally for the setup. First off, I'll put these tips back to get it to be an actual Pyraminx again. Before you loop the puzzle, I think you should probably figure out which nuts to use and which tensions. Once you figure that out, looping the puzzle should be much easier. From here, just turn the puzzle and see what you kind of need in the puzzle. So after playing around with this puzzle for quite a bit, I think I have a bit of a plan on what to do. The layers themselves are a bit slow, so I think I'll start off with some Slayer Toss to speed them up. After that, I can adjust with Silk or Lubrico 1 to make it a bit faster or slower. And the contact points for the pieces seems to be around there, the inside, and then on these honeycomb pieces. So first off, doing a bit of Slayer Toss A. To get the lube in the leg of the edge, you can go ahead and do half an R prime and then put the lube in there. And then putting the lube on the honeycomb should be pretty simple. Just here. I prefer to put the lube closer to the center of the core. I find it's more effective, and if it's closer to the outside, it does get in your hands much more. So I'll do 1 drop inside there, 1 drop inside here. So a bit of break-in first. Again, if you don't have Slayer Toss, you don't have to do this. This is just optional. I'm sure any faster lube could serve its purpose here. Alright, now for B. 1 drop here, and then 1 drop here. Yeah, this puzzle's already getting a really nice soft feeling. You can already hear it. Alright, finally, since the puzzle can still use a bit of speed, I'll be using some Lubrico 1 here, and I'll just be putting a drop on the same pieces. So 1 drop here, and then 1 here. And you can hear it sounding very, very smooth, which complements this really nice GAN feel it already has. Alright, now the body layers are feeling really nice, you can hear it. Now let's work on the tips. I'm gonna just do 1 drop of Silk on each one. I think any heavy lubricant would work well here, so just 1 drop for each tip, and then just work them in. Also, a quick trick to break in your tips, just do this a lot. This is also pretty fun. and that breaks in your tips. And boom, they're super smooth now, and they're a bit slower, which is good. You want them to be a bit controllable. You don't want tips to be turning when you don't want them to. So yeah, there we go. That's our GAN Pyraminx. Turning, of course, sounds very, very nice. This is pretty much the GAN feeling it already has, complemented with the lubricants that we put in. And the setups should make the magnet strength for the tips a bit better, and should give it more stability. Hopefully you enjoyed this modding and setup tutorial for this GAN Pyraminx, and hopefully your GAN Pyraminx turned out as good as mine. From here, just do a ton of break-in on this puzzle, and you should be set. Again, if you have different personal preferences from me, you can use different nuts, you can do different mods, you can choose not to do certain mods, or you can use different lubricants. So it's up to you what kind of GAN Pyraminx that you prefer, but hopefully the setup tutorial gives you a bit of a guideline on where to go. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys in the next one.